Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something I think a lot of us can relate to, that feeling of having an anxious mind that just will not switch off. We're going to talk about why that happens, and more importantly, what we can actually do to find some quiet in all that noise.
So does this sound like you? That constant buzz of worry, maybe replaying conversations over and over, or just jumping to the worst-case scenario about pretty much anything? It is absolutely exhausting. Well, it turns out there's a name for this, and just understanding it is the first real step to getting a handle on it. And that name is neuroticism. Now, I know, it sounds like a heavy word, but it's just one of the big 5 personality traits. All it really means is that your emotional dial is turned up a little higher than some other people's. This is not a flaw, okay? It's just how you're wired. You feel things like anxiety, frustration, and self-consciousness a bit more deeply and a bit more often.
So, what does having that emotional dial turned way up actually look like day to day? Let's get really practical here and see how this shows up in real life.
Yeah, this is where it gets real, right? It's that endless loop of thinking, oh, I shouldn't have said that in the meeting. It's when you get a text that just says, okay, and your mind immediately spirals into, they're mad at me, what did I do? It's that feeling of being completely wiped out, not because you ran a marathon, but just from the emotional roller coaster inside your own head. Little everyday stressors can feel like huge 5-alarm fires.
Okay, so this is more than just feeling a little stressed out. This tendency, if we don't manage it, has some real significant consequences for both our mental and our physical health.
So just how big of a risk are we talking about? Well, check this out. Research shows that people with high neuroticism scores are up to 3 times more likely to develop clinical anxiety. That's huge. It's not a minor personality quirk. It's one of the strongest predictors we have for future mental health challenges.
And here's where it gets even trickier. Anxiety and depression often travel together. About 60% of people who deal with one will also deal with the other. High neuroticism can be like fertile ground where both of these can take root, making it a serious health factor if it's left unchecked.
But listen, this isn't all in your head. The impact doesn't stop with our minds. That constant state of being on high alert can cause very real physical symptoms. Things like chronic insomnia, that nonstop tension you feel in your shoulders and neck, a general deep-down fatigue, and it can even weaken your immune system. Believe me, your body keeps the score. All right, I know that all sounds pretty heavy, but here is the really good news. You are not stuck. Not at all. So let's flip the script and talk about what we can do. We're going to build an actual actionable toolkit with 3 clear paths to finding more balance.
I want you to think of it like this. There are 3 different doors you can walk through. You can focus on just one, or you can use all 3. The first door is all about cognitive tools, changing your mindset. The second is about small, daily lifestyle habits. And the third door involves proven strategies from therapy. All 3 of them lead to the exact same place, a calmer, more balanced you.
Let's open that first door. A game-changing tool here is the thought record. Sounds simple, but it is so powerful. So imagine you get an email from your boss, and all it says is, let's talk tomorrow. The automatic thought just hits you. I'm in trouble. Your stomach drops, right? A thought record makes you pause and ask a simple question. Wait a minute, what's the actual evidence for that? It helps you step back from that gut punch emotional reaction and find a more balanced, rational thought. And there are other great mindset tools too. Things like gratitude journaling, which literally starts to rewire your brain to scan for the good stuff instead of just the threats. And when stress does hit, the key is active coping. Talk it out with someone. Make a simple plan. You want to avoid those passive traps, like endless doom scrolling on your phone or just bottling it all up, because that just makes it all worse later. Now for door number 2, our daily lifestyle habits. And this is all built on a really powerful idea. Adding stability to your physical world brings balance to your emotional one. The two are so deeply connected. You can think of these as your daily emotional maintenance tasks. You don't need to run a marathon. A simple 10-minute walk can literally lower your stress hormones. A consistent sleep routine, it's one of the best things you can possibly do to keep your emotions from going haywire the next day. And yeah, even just staying hydrated and keeping your blood sugar steady can stop your body from amplifying feelings of anxiety. These are the small hinges that swing really big doors. And finally, our third door, therapy-based strategies. 2 of the heavy hitters here are CBT and ACT. So, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is kind of like becoming a detective for your own thoughts. It helps you spot those negative thought loops and challenge them head-on. Acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, takes a slightly different angle. It teaches you to just allow uncomfortable feelings to be there without letting them be the boss of you, so you can still do what matters. And the best part is that these incredibly powerful methods are more accessible today than they have ever been. They're available through apps, online courses, and, of course, talking to a therapist. And please never underestimate the power of your social connections. Having just one person you can be truly honest with can change everything.
Okay, so we've got all these amazing tools in our toolkit. But what does this actually look like in real life? How do you put it all together on a random, busy Tuesday?
Well, here's a simple blueprint, and notice none of these are huge, life-altering commitments. They're all micro-habits. Maybe it starts with a short walk and thinking of just one thing you're grateful for in the morning. At lunchtime, you take just 2 minutes for some deep breaths. When that afternoon stress hits, you pause and use that thought record we talked about. Each little action seems small, but when you weave them all together, you are building a completely new emotional architecture for your day.
And that brings us to what might be the single most important idea in all of this. It's about completely reframing how we see this trait. This isn't about fixing something that's broken. It's about learning to harness a part of who you are.
So if you only hear one thing I say today, please let it be this. Your high emotional sensitivity is not a life sentence of anxiety. It does not have to be your weakness.
In fact, it's the opposite. When you learn to manage it with these tools, that same sensitivity can become your greatest asset. That's right, it can be transformed into deep insight, incredible empathy for other people, and a quiet, resilient kind of strength.
Because ultimately, that's what this is all about. You are building emotional resilience. And it doesn't just happen overnight. You build it brick by brick, habit by habit. Every single small, intentional choice you make is laying another piece of the foundation for a calmer, steadier you. So that leaves us with a question. Not for me to answer, but for you. Looking back at all these tools and ideas, what is the one micro-habit you can start today? Because that one single small step, that's where this whole journey begins.